Good morning and welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder, and this is BRN AM for Wednesday, April 29th, 2020. And our top story today, Japanese citizens and businesses brace for the impact of the coronavirus. Well, joining me now to discuss this and a lot more is Kenji Ichida. He is a doctor of education based in Japan. Kenji, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me back, Jeff.
It's great to see you. And I thought now would be, we first interviewed you about 8 months ago, and you and I have been basically lifelong friends. You're living in Japan, and I thought it'd be a nice change of scenery for our audience to learn a little bit more how things have changed in Japan given the pandemic. So what can you tell us? Think of yourself as you're now a reporter telling us what's happening in Japan. So what's going on today with the pandemic and how you're all adapting to these horrible circumstances around the globe?
Well, it's hit Japan pretty hard, and it's hard in a way because it's been so slow. People haven't really understood the gravity of the whole situation because everything in Japan focuses around Tokyo. And when Tokyo was actually slow to understand the process, the governor of Tokyo was even adamant about the fact that the Olympics had to go on, no matter what. And finally, she realized that wasn't possible and realized that some measures had to be taken. And so slowly, people realized that this was going to hit Japan. That it's not just an isolated island that's impervious to these types of things. And they put in some quarantine measures in place. But where I am in Okayama in Western Japan, it's been very, very slow to take effect, very, very slow to hit. People haven't felt it. They haven't believed it. They weren't doing the social distancing. People weren't really wearing masks. Even up until last week, I'd go to the store and no one's wearing a mask, even customers or staff, they weren't wearing masks. But after a while, when the government got more serious about it, people saw that what was happening, and actually people saw that their actual jobs have been affected. Things started to close. Schools were closed. The first thing that happened was that schools closed. So that means children were at home. This put a lot of stress on people. Even in Japan, which is considered to be a wealthy country, having kids at home every day, that's one more meal. It's one more meal in Japan. It's one more meal anywhere. Yeah. Yes.
I was going to add, and you have 5 children, so and they range from ages 10 all the way up to 20 years old, right? So did they all have to come, the 20-year-old and the 18-year-old, did they all have to come home and stay with you? Or no, they're out.
They're all home. Suddenly everybody's home. So, you're home. And then when you're a company worker, like I am, you work for a company or you work for educational institution, suddenly you're home as well. And then, so everybody's home. Everybody has to eat. You still need the same amount of money. You still have to pay the rent. So as in many cases in Japan, things are slow to hit home. And then when they hit, people have the realization that this is serious. There's always a tendency in this country for people to think that there's something different about Japan compared to other places, that we can still live here as usual and not be affected by the sort of circumstances that are going on in other countries. But this is the first time I think that people see that this is an international thing. It's not just like when a disaster hit in Fukushima or which was specifically Japan. This is international, and this is the first time in maybe a long time that it's happened here. Maybe not since the war, like World War II or something like that, where they saw that an international conflict has affected people's lives here. And for this generation, it's huge. It's really, really huge, I think.
Yeah, I think I think what you're describing as an impact to the people of Japan is very similar to what we're experiencing here in the United States. And I have to give a lot of credit to parents in addition to the frontline workers, obviously those people are doing a lot of great work, the police, firefighters, and the healthcare workers. But parents really have to step up here. As you're describing, they have to work. So they have to put money in the bank if they still, we've had a lot of people lose their jobs here in the States, but if they still have their jobs, do that. Right. On top of that, balance the family out, and a lot of cases do education. How, teach children and make sure that kids are doing their lesson plans if the school is practicing distance learning. You're the doctor of education. You're a doctor of education. Yes. Have you all transitioned to an online-based learning style?
Yes. Actually, I smelled, I could smell the tide turning in the air back in January, because back in January, you had the first reported cases of this thing. And I was already, because I also work in the travel business. Yep. Even back in January, the travel business took a hit. There were already cancellations. There were already, it was already in turmoil. Business started to go down. So I started to look for ways to secure my own income, future, what have you. And how can I go online? I mean, I was looking for different avenues to pursue. And sure, I mean, I looked at, I was looking at online for education, looking for online avenues, international avenues. I started to explore it, and I actually started to train myself in it. Just because I don't, you can't know because it's never happened before.
Right.
But you just think, well, I know this exists. As in the modern world, I mean, you can, since probably 2010, you could do an online course with MIT or Oxford or wherever you want to.
Yep.
But to think of it as a normal thing, as a norm, is maybe new. So I felt like it was probably in everybody's best interest. And from January, I really looked at it. What online jobs are there? So I just researched intensely, looking for opportunities. And, I found a few things, but basically just trying to educate myself of how to survive in this type of world. And I think, Japan is not in the worst position because many companies had started to move towards remote working, even in the years past. But people who are ahead a little bit have an advantage, and I think, fortunately, I think I'm one of them. I know about the software that's out there. I know about companies that are looking for certain types of employees. I mean, so it is something that I think everybody has had to look at, and and unfortunately, I think now, in April, late April, people are scrambling for that, where it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for people to figure out how. I mean, even though I started pretty early looking for things, to get income streams coming from a remote framework, it's hard to build up. You have to build it up, just like anything else. You have to build it up, and so that's the difficult part. But I think that's where everybody's going to be going.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. What I want to do is I'm going to hold you over. We're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Dr. Cheetah about adjustments, as he's talking about adjustments in small business and more. So stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings in retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms? Especially for the smaller businesses. I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
The windows on our homes, they protect us and the ones we love, but they do much more. At Renewal by Andersen, making your home more comfortable is at the center of every window we make. It's why we custom build our windows in America and install them in as little as 1 day. It's why we build our frames with exclusive Fibrex composite material that's 2 times stronger than vinyl. It's why our glass helps keep your home warmer in winter, cooler in summer, and quieter all year long. It's why we stand behind every window with a 20-year limited warranty. Why not help lower your energy costs while giving your home and family the best? Call 1-800-835-6525 to schedule a free in-home consultation. Buy one, get one at 40% off with this special offer. Plus, get special financing with no money down, no monthly payments, and no interest for 1 full year. Renewal by Andersen, the better way to a better window. Call 1-800-835-6525 now.
Welcome back. We're talking to Dr. Kenji Chida. He is a doctor of education based in Okayama, Japan. Dr. Chida, Kenji, thanks so much for sticking around with us this morning.
No problem. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and I should point out that it's early here, but it's very late there, and we appreciate your flexibility. So I want to, yeah, I mean, you know, you're very generous with your time. So let's talk before we kind of get into how small businesses have adapted, and you kind of alluded to that in your comments before, in our segment before we went to break. You know, you mentioned the Olympics, and there were supposed to be Olympics this year in Japan, and that obviously has been canceled and postponed until next year. What was the reaction like? Was there are people indifferent to that, or just in general, how are people responding to that announcement?
Well, I mean, the average bystander, Japanese citizen, it's not going to have a direct impact on them. But for businesses, it's been devastating. It's gutting for businesses all over the country, especially if you go from, Osaka or the middle of Japan on up to Tokyo. That piece of land, anything between there, where most of the venues were going to be held, they've just been devastated. Companies have started because of the Olympics being held in Japan. Businesses they were hoping for that windfall, and it's not going to come. Businesses have already closed. They've already, businesses have gone bankrupt already. Businesses that were teetering on the edge, that hoped that the Olympics would save them, they have closed. So it's been devastating. I don't know when they're going to actually hold the Olympics. They don't know, and no one knows, because they say postpone to next year. But really, what it is when June hits, they'll take a look at it again and decide what to do. But I'm sure they'll be held. But the damage has already been done. Really, it's nothing you can. Many businesses and people who are connected to these businesses, the hospitality industry, the travel industry, and I know firsthand, because I've worked for a travel company for 3 years as a full-time worker, and I in that particular work, I have no work. I'm just basically holding on. And, basically they've said to me, when and if this blows over, that we'll just try something again. We'll do something again. And that's the situation we're in. We're just hoping this will end. And then to get the customer confidence to come back.
Yeah.
There are some positive signs because, in the travel industry, travelers are travelers, especially when you're talking about the higher end. There are places people want to go in their lifetime. There are places they want to see, things they want to do. They still want to do it. So once this is lifted at some point, there are a group of people who will go back to a similar lifestyle. So basically, everybody's waiting for that. We're waiting for that to happen, and we're on hold into that. In that sense, if you're in certain industries like travel and transportation, you can't do business. It's impossible.
Yep.
We're just waiting for an opening.
Yeah, I completely, and that's what's happening here with a lot of the tourism industry here, and also the cruise line, which is that's a big thing here in the United States. I want to ask you about here in the States, the government passed what we call the CARES Act, or not what I call, what is called the CARES Act, to provide stimulus for small businesses and for small, just individuals. Had they done something similar policy-wise in Japan to help those small businesses impacted and individuals impacted by what's happening?
Yes, they have. That's a great question. Yes, they have. They've done something very similar. And sometimes I wonder if they're actually just watching American and then just copying it or something. But they've done two things. One thing is, first and foremost, the government has already provided stimulus to businesses all over the country. That's already been done. I know business people who've gotten the money already in Japan. Mm-hmm. Probably most Japanese people don't know that. But I know business people who've gotten the money from the government straight out the gate. For private citizens, it hasn't happened yet, but they have come up with a plan. Originally, the government decided they would go with their old system, which is to provide 300,000 yen, which is about $3,000, to families, to all families who need it, provided they meet the qualifications. So that was decided by the Liberal Democratic Party, which is the leading party of Japan, which is headed by Prime Minister Abe. Yep. Their coalition partner, which is a party called the Komeito, or New Komeito, the party leader of that party had a backroom meeting with the Prime Minister, and he expressed a desire to have that scrapped, to say that we should have a 100,000 yen, or say $1,000 per person, per citizen allotment, or you could say handout. Sure. Across all 123 or whatever 123 million people in Japan. So, and the Prime Minister agreed to that. So the Japanese government is planning to give the equivalent of $1,000 to each person in Japan, which is huge. Yeah, I was going to say, what is the population of Japan? I mean, and does that go to anybody, whether they pay taxes or not, whether they're a child, whether they... To anyone who's a recognized, registered resident. I mean, right. And you don't even have to be a citizen. And this is for non-Japanese citizens as well. As long as you're a legal resident of Japan, you will receive $1,000. So it's huge. So this means that every member of the family will get $1,000. It's not to the family. It's not a lump sum to the family. It's every person in the family gets that $1,000.
Yeah.
So this is what has been agreed to by the Prime Minister, and they plan to get the paperwork out to the public by the end of April, and then to get the money rolling out by the beginning of May.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely, Japan has done this type of thing before. Back in the Lehman shock days, they also gave stimulus money out. I think America probably did as well, if I'm not mistaken. During the Lehman shock, they gave handouts as well, not to this level.
Yeah.
But even the government of Japan has recognized that. Although the thing about Japanese people is they're the last people to admit that they need some money or they're suffering.
Yeah.
I would say some people would probably rather just starve to death or die than to actually admit it. I mean, that's just the culture. That's what it is.
It's certainly a very, very prideful culture. At least, I've never been to Japan, but that's my sense. And I agree with what you're saying in that it seems to echo what we're doing here in the States. I guess ultimately, though, the goal is to get people back to work. When that can happen, I don't think anyone's really clear about. But I want to say thank you so much Kenji, for making time out of your very busy schedule, especially adapting to the change in time, because we're several hours behind you here in the United States. But stay safe. I hope you and your wife and your family stay safe, and I look forward to having you back on the program very soon to catch up.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I'll see you again.
And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a financial topic or someone of interest that you think we should talk to? Drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the news in retirement markets, technology, personal finance, and so much more, check out today's edition of The Morning Pulse. So until tomorrow, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Attention! The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services has officially authorized new benefits that Medicare Advantage plans may include. To get the benefits you deserve, you can call the Medicare Coverage Helpline.
Hi, I'm Joe Namath. If you're on Medicare, this is important information. I called the Medicare Coverage Helpline and they instantly looked up my coverage. In this one simple call, they offered to enroll me in a plan that includes rides to medical appointments, private home aides, doctors and nurses' visits by telephone, and even home-delivered meals. The plan also includes dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage, all at no additional cost.
Don't delay. Call to see if the new benefits are available in your area.
Call the number on your screen now. It's free.
Call 1-800-757-1451. That's 1-800-757-1451.